Hello, and welcome back to the Dungeons & Dragons Podcast UK. My name is Yasmin, and I will be the DM.
Hi, my name's Colin, and I play Cuin de Greymont, a paladin from Gavany.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I play Ogvar Cuin, a ranger from Kessig.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I play Elora Greyveil, a sorcerer from Nephalia. Last episode saw Cuin and Ogvar surely committing crimes against the cow community, and after witnessing the weird spectacle, it was a somewhat stunned sorceress that hurriedly headed back to the bathhouse to confide in her only female companion. Whilst voicing her extreme concerns, Elora engaged in Esther's gift, and a spot of grape guzzling rapidly ensued in an effort to steady her ship, before making a beeline for her bunk with a need to de-stress in a darkened room. Dialogue with a dull-as-ditch-water stockman did not light any fires, and despite his best efforts, Cuin waved the white flag, considering it pointless to persevere further. An inspection of the pig pens was altogether more interesting, as the pair procured a less-than-tasty trotter and a few fabric fibres. Could these possibly provide them a clue in order to catch the killer? Episode 109, Forging Friendships.
Cuin and Ogvar, you make your way back from the pigsty. And the pigsties are kind of round the back of a bunch of houses. So as you walk out and you head back towards the what is effectively the main thoroughfare, you go past a lot of these houses. They're quite squat dwellings. Usually they're like one story. They're all quite low. You maybe see one or two which are 2-story, and they look quite, in comparison, they look a little bit more opulent, but in a sense of village opulence. So they just look tidier. They look neater. Fresher coat of paint. It's nothing grand like in the city where you expect an opulent house to have these big towering walls. But they clearly look like the owner is a little more well off. So you make your way back to the main thoroughfare, this road leading right up the centre of Stagwick. And what are you doing?
Right, well, after, do you want to go and see Blacksmith, or do you want to go and see the ladies? And Elora.
Okay, it's going to be one of them.
Gonna be like that, is it?
Well, I suppose we're out and about at the moment, and we have got to sort our companion out with some finery, as it were. So if we get that done, then we can go back to the inn after and maybe tackle the problem of the dried out animals.
Yes, probably best. Esther was having a bath, so just leave her alone. She'll have a...
Oh yes, wouldn't want to intrude on that.
No. Right then, off to Blacksmith.
Off to the smithy then.
Okay.
I might have him have a look at my helmet. Now and again.
Okay.
Oh dear. Okay. So, the two of you head up the street, and you very quickly approach the general store. So this where this general store is, general store and the smithy are in the same area. And as you walk up the street, you go past this little quad of buildings where the apothecary, the butchers, the bakers, and not the candlestick makers, but the tailors are. And as you head up past them on the left, you can see there's this stone wall which curves around, leaving a gap about a carriage width from effectively the kind of front corner post of this bridge and this wall. So as you head in, you can see to your left you have the general stores, Stag and Stag general stores. And this is quite a big building. It's obviously one of the more opulent buildings in town. It's a 2-storey building, and it's a long building. It's the second biggest building in the town. The inn being the biggest. And its door is open. It looks quite inviting inside. It looks clean, tidy. You see a couple of chickens pecking around in the ground in front. And looking ahead of you, you can see the smithy. The smithy is a relatively short building. It's rectangular but quite short, and it's squat. It's a single-storey building. You can see that kind of overhangs have been built on top of it. They're clearly, additions. They've got different tiles on the roof. It's a bit of thatching here, some tile there. And it spreads out, so it effectively doubles the length of the building, and it covers an open-air forge, obviously keeping the forge itself dry from any elements. And yeah, it's a big circular open forge made of solid stone, and as you get closer and closer, you can obviously hear the crackling and hissing of metal. You can hear the sound of someone beating, obviously metal with hammer. And actually there's a little bit of an interesting thing. Where this wall is, this wall runs along the side of the river. So there's a wall separating you from the river. And as you look, you can see that part of this wall has been knocked through. Right at the bottom, at the water level, there has been 2 sections locked through. And a trench has been dug in this, not quite a full C, this kind of, semicircular shape, this arc. And it's a relatively deep trench. It runs quite fast, and the water running through is actually what supplies the forge. You can see some form of mechanical contraption has been rigged up, which the water rushing through, a bit like a water wheel, pushes paddles on a wheel, which in turn turns some mechanical machinery which operates the bellows, obviously keeping the forge running.
And can we see anybody at the smithy/forge?
Yeah, as you get closer, this smithy is producing a lot of heat, and as you get closer, you know some of the finer details are slightly blurred with the waves of heat, and obviously you see the heat rising above the forge, distorting whatever's behind. And you hear this ringing. It pauses occasionally. You hear a hissing sound, and there's a great billow of steam as obviously some metal work is being doused. And you can see a quite a burly looking woman. She wears a shirt, a very rough kind of, it almost has the look of a sack. It's a very, very square cut. It's almost like the neckline's just being ripped open and just popped over her head. And it's got short sleeves, which have clearly, you can see the sleeves were once there. They've clearly been torn off out of the way, either as they've got, they're damaged beyond repair, and she's just delegated this to a forged shirt and just ripped the sleeves off so that it's not going to catch in the fire and nothing's going to catch flame. It's dirty, it's soot laden. She wears a big, thick, heavy duty leather apron, which hangs about her neck, and it kind of ties off around her waist with these big leather kind of straps. And it's actually buckled at the back. You see it's buckled at the back, and these leather thongs are just hanging down. She wears sturdy boots and a pair of leather trousers. They're clearly rough trousers. They're meant for protection. They're hardy. You see kind of her arms, which are exposed. They are laden with scars and burn marks, obviously where sparks and embers have caught her and burnt. She's got big hands. She's not a small woman. She's very well muscled. Her hair's kept tidy. It's quite close cropped and tied with another leather tie behind at the nape of her neck. She's certainly no looker, and you know she's got this kind of it's a face which is clearly not accustomed to smiling, or perhaps not even showing much emotion at all. She's quite square-faced, strong-jawed. She almost has this kind of set to her face where her jaw almost seems to be set in stone. And she beats away determinedly at this piece of metal on her anvil. And you see beads of sweat dripping down. And, you know, she's dirty, she's sweaty, she's clearly, you know, this is hard work.
Okay. So Ogvar will approach towards her as long as it's not too hot, I suppose. And sort of like, would she be able to hear me if I spoke, or?
Give it a go.
Hello, good day.
Yeah, there's a slight pause, and she's that kind of pause where someone's like, did I hear something? You see her face kind of scrunch up slightly, her eyes kind of narrow, and she cocks her head before turning to kind of look towards where she thought this sound was. She looks at you, and you see this kind of dull flicker of recognition pass over her face of, oh, there is someone there. And she very quickly takes the piece of metal she's been working on, drops it into a bucket of water. It's like this big, old oaken barrel. You can see scorch marks along the barrel. It's slightly bent out of shape. It's clearly no longer useful as a barrel because the top's been popped off and some of the wood's splintered and the top band is very loose on it. But it's enough to hold water. So she drops whatever she was working on. You know, she takes the little pick, grabs it, smacks the hammer onto it once, it picks up, and then just drops it into the water. And you hear the hissing sound, and you see a plume of steam rise up. She picks up her hammer, flips it in the way that only blacksmiths can really do, kind of rolling it over the little finger before tucking it into a loop at her belt. And it's a relatively big hammer. It's, you know, a good kind of fist size and a half size hammer. She flicks it into her belt, turns towards you. One hand remains on top of the hammer, kind of thumb on the head and fingers wrapped around the joint between the handle and the head on her side. And the other one, this big hand, you're close enough now, you're in talking range. She has got big hands. They are, proper sausage fingers. Nails are kept very dull. You can see like a nasty split down the thumbnail right from top to bottom. Her nails are short, they're dull, they're scratched, grimy. And she takes one of these massive hands, little finger, shoves it deep in the ear, gives it a bit of a screw around, looks at you. All right there, how can I help?
Hello, I'm Ogvar, and I'm here to possibly enlist you for your smithing services, as I seem you may be the smithy of the town.
No, sorry, no, I'm not. It's down the road. And she gives you this kind of tradesman's grin. This kind of, it's a small thing, but it's a grin nevertheless, and kind of like a ha ha. Yeah, that's quite funny. I'm Eliza.
At this, if she'd have said that, Cuin would have gone, oh, okay, sorry, and he'd started walking off.
Yeah. So, Ogvar, you gonna let him walk off, or?
Cuin, I believe she may be joking.
Oh, right. I was getting a bit confused there.
Yes, so this is, as I said before, I am Ogvar, and this is my travelling companion, Cuin de Greymont.
Hello.
We're, would you, by any chance, obviously we see you're working on some iron there, and did you work on maybe finer materials? More decorative, more so?
Oh, I don't know about decorative. I can make some pretty fine stuff, though. I'm quite skilled at my trade. And she steps forward towards you, and she is a tall woman. She is the same, she's nearing on the height of Cuin. She is a tall woman, and she is broad. She is broad and muscular. And she smells...
Helga the Viking Queen.
She smiles at you and she proffers her hand, this big, meaty bear paw, out to you. I'm Eliza Stagg. Pleasure to meet you. And she kind of claps your hand, Ogvar, first of all, and you grab her hand and you can feel, she's got a big ropey scar across her palm. Clearly from what was quite a deep cut once. Obviously, she's had to learn her trade, and this cut, it spans from the meat of her thumb to the kind of base of her little finger. And it is, from the amount of scar tissue there and the kind of the ropiness and the texture of it, you can tell that was a deep cut, and it's, probably only some form of healing actually managed to save her hand. Otherwise, that would have been awful amounts of damage. But you can feel the calluses on her hands, these, from where the wood rubs across and it rests on her pointer finger. These are clearly hard-working hands, and there's no O'Keefes in sight round this part. So she does the same to you, Cuin, and she grasps your hand, gives it a tight squeeze and a firm shake up and down. Right, what can I do for you then?
Well, see, we have this bag to travel with, and at that I shall sort of unhook Orlan from round Ogvar's neck. And is there like a surface I can place him down on?
Yeah, her anvil's clear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll go with that then. So, look, see, we have this bag, and it's quite a useful bag, and we travel with it. And as you can see, we've taken precautions to try and protect it somewhat with the chain mail and bits and bobs. But we've recently come into a few finer things, and we were wondering whether you could set some gemstones into it.
Ah.
Who's got the gemstone?
Elora gave them to Ogvar.
Okay, sorry.
It was two gemstones.
They were glass ones, weren't they? They weren't proper ones. The ones we had two sets. We had the proper emeralds, some of which we sold to Sato, and we had the glass ones.
Because I can't remember. I thought they were emeralds because we had a joke about the fact that Elora didn't realise how valuable they were.
No, but we the emeralds, but there were also glass ones, weren't there?
There were. So you managed to pick up
kept.
10 actual emeralds, but the ones which Elora grabbed were separate entirely. And if memory serves me correctly, they were actually emeralds she picked up.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
I think they were.
So between you and Caddo, you were able to pick out. Obviously, you were able to figure out which ones were the actual emeralds and which ones were glass, and you came away with 10 proper emeralds. And then Elora grabbed a couple from where she was sat, and they were both emeralds.
Okay. So Ogvar will present the gemstones with Orland the bag.
Okay. She looks at you, looks at the bag, and she looks at Orland. Obviously, gives a bit of a peer. She kind of breathes in deeply, snorts once, obviously clearing her airways, swallows slightly, and then hocks a loogie onto the floor. And it's not pleasant. But what is even less pleasant is the fact that the majority of this loogie is kind of this black, brackish brown, obviously from the soot that she deals with, and it goes up her nose, and obviously her face is, smeared with soot. It is fairly disgusting. She doesn't pick the bag up, but what she does do is she picks up the chain mail, Orland's chainmail skirt, and she examines the links on the chainmail. And you can see she runs it over her hands, and she actually, pulls it taut and spins some of the links around so she can see how they're clasped together. Obviously, just checking the general state of the bag, and she actually is clearly quite admiring the work that's gone into this piece of chain. Piece of mail. Sorry. She looks at it, takes the gems from you, and these are, decently sized gems. Yeah, I could probably. This is some very, very nice chain work. I could probably do the same or better. But no, this is some nice chain work. I'd expect you got it for some big fancy city or something. Yeah, what we could do is be fully transparent with you here. I like that word, transparent. I like it. We could
Good vocabulary.
we could pop open some of the links there. So I would have to, technically damage something which is already there. Pop open some of the links, open it up, and then what I can do is I can remove like a little. What's the word for it? It's got 4 sides. What's the word for it? Oh,
Square?
that's the one. A little square. I was thinking rectangle there. Yeah. Move a little square, and then we can put some little mounts in and mount them for you.
Okay, that sounds good. What do you think, Cuin? What do you think?
Yeah, yes, yes, that sounds fine. Orland will be very happy.
Yes, he will.
Okay. Where do you want these then?
Well, I was thinking like maybe one at each end.
Yeah, I don't know. One at each end, or do you want to make it 2 look like a pair of eyes?
I'm not sure. It's I suppose you can only look at one side of a bag at a time. So if it's all on one side, you don't know there's nothing on the other side, do you?
Well, correct. It's usually on your back, isn't it?
Well, I suppose so. Yes. Well, can we leave you with a certain amount of artistic license? You are an artisan of these materials.
She kind of scuffs her foot on the floor, kind of scratches back of her neck in that kind of almost kind of semi-embarrassed kind of way. Yeah, I can mount them on there, yeah.
Oh, excellent. That's do we leave the bag with you or just the armour?
She looks at Orland. I can just take the I can just take the chain. I think, yeah, I can just take the chain.
Oh, okay, that's very good. We can. There's certain items in the bag we like to keep with us. So I will. Ogvar will remove the. Is it chainmail's already off, isn't it?
Yep, she took it off.
Okay, yeah. So, yes, we just leave it with you if that's okay. And yes, when would be a good time to come back? Is it like a day's work or a week's work or?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think would be best?
It'll take me a little while to make the mounts. I'd say probably tomorrow afternoon, maybe.
Oh yes, that seems very reasonable. And do you need payment in advance, or do we pay when the job is done?
No, don't worry about it. Just pay later.
Okay, no problem. We can do that. Can't we, Cuin?
Yes. That would be absolutely fantastic. We did say sort of both on the same side, didn't we? On the front.
Right. Don't I just leave it up to...
Okay, yes, fine.
Okay, so, yes, if we leave this with you then, and we'll see you tomorrow, or we may even see you in the inn later.
Oh, yeah.
If you are there.
Oh, I might be, might not. Depends if anything interesting's happening.
Oh, well, there's something interesting happening, because you may not have heard, news may not have spread this far yet, but we have brought back Ivona and Brady, the 2 children that were till recently missing.
Oh, excellent. Oh, well done. Thank you.
It's no problem. We delivered them back to the inn. They're now playing with the other children, so yes, we will be staying in the inn, I believe, and so yes, we may see you later.
Oh, sure thing. All right then.
Yeah, we could buy you a nice stiff drink to, help clear the soot from the lungs.
Well, I don't think you're generally supposed to, what's the word? Inhale liquids.
It all goes down the same roll, doesn't it?
Never really thought about it, to be honest. I suppose it does.
You say that, you should see our one companion, Esther, when she starts drinking, she seems to inhale it. It doesn't last very long.
Yeah, at this point, Eliza doesn't seem to be listening. She's actually very, very consciously stood there, kind of gulping like a goldfish, going, trying to kind of figure out which way it goes down.
Okay, so at that, we will go. Ogvar will nod and sort of say, well, we'll leave you to it and have a good day. We'll see you later.
Toodle! Ha!
Yep, bye. And she very quickly returns to her forge, and you see her kind of begin to shovel metal around, and you see her fling another kind of batch of coals into this forge. One hand on the shovel, just massive shovel of coals, and just straight in. She seems always quite distracted, still gulping a bit like a fish.
Right, I think we should leave her to it. Let's back to the inn, Cuin.
Yes, go and find the ladies.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so you head back
So, yeah.
to the inn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you get back to the inn, the Heart and Hearth, and you enter the room. It's again quiet. There's not really, there isn't anybody in. You can hear sounds from the kitchen of Mary, obviously bustling away, baking and cooking or prepping meats. And you can see now that this big spit roast in the middle of the room, there is now a full wild boar speared on the spit and hung slowly rotating round. Obviously starting to cook it as the evening will wear on and people trickle in, just prepping for obviously this big evening meal. And it is this proper, it's not a big boar, it's like a little wild pig kind of thing. It's probably enough to feed, people in the town. Everyone will get a bit of something from the pig, and it's been stripped bare. The hair's been taken off of it. It's been coated in what looks like honey, a thick glaze of honey, and it's got this big red honeyed apple shoved in its mouth. And it's slowly rotating round, and the fire has clearly been stoked in the middle of the room, and more coals have been laid on. So this it was burnt, it just embers glowing. It has now been stoked to a full flame. So you begin to obviously get the scent of cooking meat filling the air. It's not very strong. This pig's clearly just been put onto the spit, and you can see other things like there are pots of stew and stuff hanging and cooking. So Mary's clearly been hard at work here prepping for an evening meal to feed many. And as you enter in through the door, from the stairs, so there are stairs kind of towards on your right as you enter into the door, there are, set back a bit along the wall, there is a set of stairs which lead up to the second floor. And from the stairway, you hear the sound. This is kind of this reedy slapping sound. As Esther appears, she appears to be wrapped in some sort of large bath towel, another one piled up on top of her head, and she wears on her feet what looks to be a pair of kind of woven reed flip-flops as she comes padding down the stairs. Oh, hello, dearies. How are you all doing?
Well, hello, Esther. Yes, we're well. You look clean.
Oh, yes, I'm feeling quite clean and lovely. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. You should really try the bath. It's quite enjoyable.
Yeah, I suppose I may try one at some point. It's been a while since I had a soak.
Yes.
Where's Elora? Is she about?
Oh, she's upstairs having some rest. She came in blathering something about you and a cow, and honestly, dearie, I was quite confused.
Oh, I don't know what she was talking about. Maybe she's maybe too much time on the roads. Maybe she's addled her brain.
Oh, well, I'm not sure she needed time on the roads to add all that, but okay.
Yes, maybe it's it was probably a visit to the wine shop that she was going to do. Maybe tasting a bit too much.
Perhaps. Anyhow.
So we've we've been on a small walk around the surrounding area. We went to look for the mare in the fields, but we just spoke to the local cow man.
Oh.
Herdmaster.
Yes.
Herdsman.
Herdsman. And yes, he didn't have a lot to say. And then we went and checked out the pigs, and again, we found slightly more in the pigsty. We found again a bit more evidence of dehydrated animals, as we've heard already, and but not much else really about. Maybe just a few scraps of cloth here and there, but I'm not entirely sure whether that's much to go on. But it's worth noting, I suppose.
Yes.
And then we've been to the smithy and spoke to Eliza at the smithy. She's currently working on a little something for our friend Orland.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, I forgot to ask about the Pfizer. Oh well, never mind. I'm used to it now.
But if she comes in later, you can always ask her.
Yes, you can ask for some advisor. Sorry, that was really bad.
Some advisor off Liza.
Well, you know where to go to if you've got a hole in your bucket.
So, other than having a bath, what have you been up to?
Oh, not much, dearie. Sampling some wine, which Elora brought. It was quite delicious, actually. She's not forgiven, but it was quite delicious. Yes, and well, I'm old and wrinkly anyway, so you can't see the wrinkles from the water. But I've just been stewing.
Oh, excellent. It's a nice hot bath and good for the bones, good for the for a bit of rest and relaxation.
Yes.
I might have one later, or tomorrow, or the next day. I'll see. Yes. Part of my weaponry. Lift up the armpit, hit them on the head. They get the whiff. Hard to fight back if you've got tears in your eyes.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
That's nasty.
So, who else is there? Are any new faces in the inn?
No, there are not. You can hear Mary bustling around, but other than, yourselves and Esther, there is no one in the inn.
Well, should we maybe try and rouse Elora and fill her in on what's transpired this afternoon, Cuin?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yes. Hopefully she's full compos mentis, so we say.
Well, I should hope so. I'll go and find her. And that Ogvar will proceed to try and find out where Elora is sleeping.
Okay, as you begin to head upstairs, you hear Esther shout up from the bottom, "Oh, I think she's in the third room along, dear."
Oh, okay. Thank you, Esther. Ogvar will go up and walk along 3 doors and then proceed to knock on the door.
Okay. Elora, in the room.
Elora sat on the edge of the bed. She's got her head tipped back and she's just hoping that washing her eye out might sort of wash away the memory of what she actually saw. in the field, perhaps, or what she thought she saw in the field. So she's just going to bathe her eye.
Okay.
And just as she's doing that, obviously she hears the knock at the door, and she's like, yes, who is it?
Oh, Elora, it's Ogvar.
Oh, the door's open. Come on in.
Oh, okay. Incoming. Open the door and... Are you alright?
Yeah, I was just bathing my eye out. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yes, why wouldn't I be?
Her eyes are just going to move left and right, like a really bad, dodgy portrait. And she's just going to kind of shrug and just drop her gaze away from Ogvar. Did you make any progress with your inquiries?
Well, we've just come back. We've told Esther, but we've found some things. Nothing particularly. We couldn't find him there. He was not to be found. But I think that we spoke to the herd master of the cow field, and
Elora's just going to dart strange direction with her eyes to the left and right, like avoidance, when he mentions cow.
And then, but he didn't have much to say, really. Like, very small vocabulary. And then we went and checked out the pig pen. And we found a small bit of evidence there, and another dried out pig's hoof trotter. That was a bit in keeping with the happenings. And only thing of note I found out was a few strands of a pinkish, fibery cloth. So it was a little out of place, but I wouldn't say anything particularly obscure. But no, we haven't really found much else at all. I do feel we really do need to speak to this mayor.
Yeah, well, I guess this is the kind of place that everybody gathers. I bet it's the central hub in the evening, so I would imagine everybody will probably be here later. I suppose you can pick on whoever you want to talk to then.
Well, yes, hopefully. Oh, and Ogvar will sort of like lift his coat flat back and say, we've been to see the smith, and she's a female smith as well. Quite a nice lady. But she's agreed to do a little work for Orland.
Brilliant.
That's why he's currently naked.
Don't look at me, I'm hideous.
I haven't seen him looking... I haven't seen you looking like that for a while, Orland. I did promise that we'd do this.
Pervert.
I know it's taken... well, what? That's just plain rude. Elora, with everything that's gone on with cows and people slapping cows' butts and now being accused of being a pervert looking at a bag, Elora is really quite miffed. She's just going to pull her cloak round her, get up, and she's going to scurry past Ogvar out of the room and say, excellent, well, hopefully she'll get him reclothed soon. Do you know when she's going to be done?
Oh, she said possibly tomorrow afternoon. So I thought we won't be moving on or anything.
No, okay. Elora's still just a bit sort of breathless and doesn't really know who to look at this moment in time. She's very confused. And she's going to say, okay, fine. I guess I'll go downstairs then. And she's just not even going to wait for Ogvar. She's just going to scurry as quickly as she can down the stairs. And then out into the bar.
Right, okay. So, Cuin, you're in the bar with Esther. Esther, who is still clad in naught but a towel, a turban, and some flip-flops.
It's a very weird turn, this podcast, hasn't it?
It's definitely gone down an avenue, hasn't it?
And yeah, you see Elora scurrying downstairs. Yeah, Ogvar, what are you doing? Are you heading downstairs as well?
Yeah, noticing that Elora seems a little odd and a little skittish. sort of watch her scurry past and shrug my shoulders and I don't know what's got into her, but I should go downstairs as well, I suppose. And off he goes.
She's in a right
As she
stake.
runs,
Ah.
God, as she runs through the bar, is Cuin sat in the bar?
Yeah,
I'm
it seems so.
Esther.
Right, as she scurries past Esther and Cuin, she's going to look at Esther, smile weakly, and then she's going to look at Cuin, and she's going to kind of almost do a 360 turn as she looks at him strangely. Then she's going to scurry off to the other end of the bar, find a stool, pull it out, and just sit on it and lean, sort of hunched over the bar, kind of giving furtive glances further back down the bar at Cuin and Esther.
She's like one of them, you know those old things they had, those nanobots which used to like zoom off, spin around and zoom again. She's like one of them, isn't she?
But Cuin's going to turn to Esther and go, she seems to be in quite a funny mood, doesn't she?
Yes, quite. At least she's not grumpy anymore.
No, she's not. Her mood seems to be a bit weird.
Esther kind of looks at you, Elora. She's over. No one's going to tan your hide, dearie. Come on over. No need to be all the way over there.
Laura's just going to shrug her shoulders and she's going to quickly get her diary out of her backpack,
Right.
put it on the bar, and she's going to start filling out the book that she got from Zofia Softblaze, the diary book that she gave her, the journal.
Yeah.
And she's just going to start hastily catching up on her notes and kind of make a waving motion at the other two further down the bar, as if to say, "Oh, I'm just doing I'm just doing this." Yes, acknowledging them.
Okay.
She's just making herself look busy, basically.
Excellent. Okay. So, Esther promptly. I mean, Ogvar, you're going downstairs. You joining?
Yeah, Ogvar will have been travelling down as this all went on. Yeah.
Yeah. Esther promptly gets up and she. Oh well, I'm going to go get some proper civilised clothes on, I think. And she then disappears back upstairs. You get the slap of the flip-flops as she heads back upstairs to get changed. So, what are you doing in the couple of hours until effectively the village returns?
Elora will be just at the other end of the bar. She's going to be leaning on her left arm. She's right-handed. She's going to be leaning with her chin cupped in her left hand and scrawling with her right hand. I mean, she's caught up with her notes ages ago, but she's kind of doodling and daydreaming, processing and thinking about everything that's come and gone over the last few days, and she'll have a drink in front of her. I think she's probably downed a couple by this stage.
Yeah.
And that's just what she's doing at the moment.
Okay, so Cuin, what are you doing?
Well, Cuin, do you fancy an ale? Over.
Well, yes, I suppose so.
I'm going to just go. Well, I'll get these and put them on the tab or whatever. I'm just going to go over my helmet and my armour. You don't know if I'll need it tonight, so.
Well, yes,
I'll
it's best to be prepared, I suppose.
See if I could sort this visor out a bit more.
Okay. So you take care of your armour, tend to it. Ogvar, what are you doing?
Ogvar was just sit with Cuin, maybe thumb through a few of his mushroom notes from Portobello, sort of just see if he can just recap on the mushrooms he saw earlier.
Yeah.
So just to remind himself of what they are, because he couldn't quite remember all the full details. So a bit of that, and then a bit of maybe a bit of playing with Murdoch, maybe flicking a few things across the table at him and getting him to pass them back, and just generally making small talk with Cuin and the like.
Okay, cool. So a couple of hours passes in this way. You're all just taking some time to rest and recoup, check over armour, keep yourself entertained. Just generally kind of downtime, taking a break. Ivona pops in and out here and there, playing some form of game. You'd say probably hide and seek with the other children, and you see there are quite a few children, boys, girls, but they're of a fairly similar age range, kind of ranging from 13 through to kind of perhaps the youngest looking at like 6 or so. And there are quite a few of them. There are probably 12 children, maybe 12, 13, which you see. Possibly a couple more upstairs, perhaps some of the old ones. And they bob through playing various games, and you see the odd one get chased out of the kitchen by Mary, face sticky with jam and other sweet treats, as they've clearly been pinching off some of the platters. It's a fairly peaceful time. Esther reappears, dressed properly in some proper clothes. This big white shawl, which you haven't seen for a while, wrapped around her shoulders, and a little pile of letters or writings in her hand, just loose sheaf paper, which she begins to peruse, and she's got kind of like a glass of wine on the side, a little pot of pub peanuts, and her writings, which she's just poring over. So that's how you spend the next couple of hours. Mary pops in and out, and she makes some short conversation with you as she does. She's checking up whether you need anything. She probably drops another plate of stagberry tarts in front of you at some point, fresh out of the oven. The jam's still kind of hot and warm. She checks on the meat and occasionally rotates the spit around or stirs the pots of stews. It's just kind of general slow downtime in a quiet inn. Okay.
While Elora is sat there, and she's finished her doodling, one of the things she's going to do is just fish around absent-mindedly in a pocket, and she's going to she'll have been spinning a coin as well on the bar while she was thinking about what she was writing, and she's going to be just pushing the coin away, spinning it, and then holding a hand out, and she's just attracting the coin and playing with it with the Filcher's friend ring. So she's moving her hand round over the top of it, causing it to continue spinning, and then flick it away and then draw it back towards her.
Okay. Yeah.
Just while she's doing that, she would just be entertaining herself with that while she's thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, so the night draws in and it gets darker and darker, and at the point where you're kind of early dusk, the sun's just kind of dipping below the horizon, and the sky, it's cleared up, and the sky is now streaked with this kind of pink goldish hue. And it pours in through the windows, the kind of windows on the front side of this inn, of the heart and half, and you get these beautiful kind of panels of golden light that make the wooden tables and the wooden floorings kind of glow with this warm radiance. And Esther adjusts her position so the wine it's not directly in her face, but the light strikes her glass of wine and it creates these beautiful red fractals which can spin off around the room. It's just that kind of general really lovely time of night when you're just, as you look out the window, you can just about see bats starting to kind of spin through the air in dizzy circles. And as this time approaches and it just grows a little bit darker, you begin to see, if you look out the window, you begin to see movement in the town. There appears to be kind of lights or lanterns being lit inside houses. You see Al walking up the main thoroughfare, lighting some lanterns which are hung across the bridge. And you begin to see life and movement, and it isn't too much longer before people start flooding back into the inn.
So what sort of time of night is it now then? How's it getting on for like?
It's probably about 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Okay.
It's starting to drop dark, and you've got this kind of beautiful gradient in the sky where it goes from kind of like a deep plush navy to this kind of pink streaked gold. And yeah, you begin to see people coming in. You see some of the men on their own begin to wander in. They look tired from a day's hard work. You know, they've come wearing the clothes that they were working in the fields in. You know, the odd one occasionally maybe will have like a hoe or a scythe in his hand or on his hip, and they all kind of trudge in and begin to kind of pile around the corners, and they seem to be quite suspicious of you, quite wary. But a short time later, you begin to see more people come in, and the next set of people to come in appear to be couples. You see women and men come together. They clearly come in pairs. Most of them talk and act like married couples, or certainly romantic partners. And as some of these couples begin to come in, you can hear the sound of children's feet come pounding down the stairs, and greet obviously what's their parents who've come back from a day in the fields. And this whole inn begins to get quite lively and quite a buzz. And it does get to the point where, the inn is now packed, its ground floor is packed. Someone has brought out a flute from somewhere, and they're beginning to play songs on the flute, and you hear the sound of like a timbre, like a drum being played. And it's this atmosphere really begins to get lively, and this feeling which you had of being kind of scrutinised and watched at the start begins to ebb away as obviously the news of that Ivona and Brady have returned begins to spread around, and people begin to treat you with a lot more warmth than suspicion. You get people come up and pat you on the back and shake your hand, or doff one of their sun hats or their caps to you, and it transitions from this kind of suspicious wariness to kind of warm welcome. And Mary's bustling around and food's being served out, and it's all homely food, rabbit haunches and vegetables. It turns into a really nice evening, a very vibrant atmosphere. And you still have these children chasing around the place and getting in the way, getting under people's feet, and just, but they're just kind of worked around in that sense.
I suppose it seems like everybody's coming here. I suppose we've got to find out which one of these is the mayor.
Oh yes, I suppose it's the first port of call, I suppose. And Ogvar will sort of look across and Elora, are you going to join us?
She catches the coin as she draws it towards her, because she's still playing with that. She looks down the bar and it's like, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. And she sort of sighs to herself and then just thinks to herself, well, I shouldn't really be surprised. Well, she sighs to herself and she thinks that she shouldn't really be surprised by anything. After all, strange things happen on Innistrad. They've come across some very odd things on their journeys. So she's going to decide to just put it behind her for now. Probably decides that it's best not explained. She collects the stuff off the bar, grabs her drink, puts her journal away, and then she's going to walk down to the other end of the bar and just rejoin them.
Takes the bull by the horns.
Yes, quite. So she's still just given a strangely wary look, but, well, they're her friends and, takes all sorts. Maybe they're sharing a room. She's not sure.
Okay. So, what would you like to do at this point?
I suppose we better ask Mary which one's the mayor, because we don't know who he is.
Oh, no, we don't. We sat right next to me, we wouldn't even know, would we?
No.
So, when Mary passes the next time, Ogvar will sort of wave a hand and catch her attention.
Yeah. Okay.
And sort of, excuse me, Mary. Could you tell me if the mayor is present? Yes.
She smiles at you, and she's got arms laden with plates, and she gives you a sweet smile. Oh, I'll send him your way. I'll send him your way in a minute or two. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mary.
She kind of dips her head at you and then hurries off, and her kind of skirt billowing around, and she kind of weaves her way between the tables, and it is thronging now. You would say probably, near enough everyone in this town is in this inn. It's not a particularly big town, but nearly everyone in this town is now in this inn. Okay. So it's not too long, perhaps a couple of minutes, before a gentleman makes his way through the crowd. He looks much like most of the other men. He wears simple clothes, hardy, well worn. You can see patches in the elbows and knees. He wears a blue checkered shirt and a pair of simple trousers, accompanied by a pair of sturdy boots on his feet. He looks to be his, mid-50s. He's got... His skin isn't tanned, but it's that kind of leathery, outdoorsy kind of skin. You can tell that he's spent a lot of his time outside. His skin shows signs of weathering. The lines on his face are carved quite deep. His hair, you could say it was probably once brown, but it is now heavily dashed with grey. He's fully grey at the temples, and the rest of his head is streaked with grey. He has kind eyes. They look to be particularly kind eyes. They're a warm brown colour. And everything about him just seems kind of warm and homely and very down to earth. He approaches you and claps you across the shoulder, Ogvar, seeing as you're the nearest. And he smiles at you, and it's this smile which, his teeth aren't great. They're quite yellowed and quite, you can see one tooth, a couple of teeth missing, presumably from either he's had them knocked out or lost them over time. But he's warm and he's approachable. And he smiles at you, claps you across the back, and hello there. I'm Richard. I'm the mayor of this humble town here. Must not seem much to big city folks such as yourself, but it's home. Thank you for bringing Ivona and Brady back. I truly don't know what we'd have done. We thought they were lost, and you warm my heart. Honestly, you do. And he sniffs, and you can see he's holding it together just about. He looks you dead in the eye, and I can never truly thank you enough for bringing my grandchildren back to me.
It's quite all right. We didn't initially realise what we were getting ourselves into, but we found Elora. She found us really. She jumped out of a hedge very quickly and startled us all. But yes, it's all worked out well in the end, I think. And yes, they're back safe and sound, which is all that really matters, isn't it?
Yes.
We did what anybody would have done, or what you would expect any decent folk to have done. They're just children.
He smiled.
Found themselves in a very bad situation.
He smiles at you and he kind of shakes his head in a rueful manner. Always a little springy in hair, that one was. Boundless energy, don't know how she does it. Must have got it from her grandmother, bless her soul.
Right. Yes. So, well, they're back now, and it's all well and good, but, is everything else right? We found, what happened was, Ivona found us, and then she assisted us in, finding where Brady was, and unfortunately they'd both been taken by a vampire spawn, which we're not entirely sure whether that's quite normal around here or not, and they didn't seem to really know where their parents were, and basically chasing up on all that is are their parents around, are they okay? And
Yes,
And,
yes.
Do you tend to have problems with vampires around here?
I think this might be a conversation for a more private area. Let's pop into the kitchen, shall we?
Oh, okay.
So he passes round the counter, and as he passes, he steps aside as Mary bustles her way through, gives her a slight smile and a bit of a, inclines her head towards the kitchen and a bit of a nod. And he then disappears into the kitchen, and I'm assuming you're going to follow him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll follow.
So he makes his way to this big counter in the middle of the kitchen, and he pulls up a stool and plops himself down. There are stools under this counter. And you can see the kitchen is in various states of disarray. This big kind of ceramic kind of stone sink which is in the kitchen is piled high with, dishes and plates and cutlery and pots and pans. The kitchen is in a state of disarray. You can see more food cooling on the side, hot breads and stuff, and other things which Mary's obviously wheeled out of the oven or is taking out to the townsfolk in the inn. And he sits down and helps himself to a glass of whatever nearest beverage he can find. It's probably going to be an ale or something. And he sits down and goes, to answer your questions, yes, Ivona and Brady's parents are still around. My daughter and son-in-law are back at the house with Ivona and Brady. Obviously, a bit emotional there. But yeah, so I'll see them a bit later, and Ivona and Brady should have been in bed by then. But yes, no, they were terribly distraught when they realised they'd been taken. But a vampire spawn, you say? I can't say that's common for around here. We have, and he puts his hand over his heart and looks up to Avacyn. You would say, bless Avacyn, but we've never really had, aside from the usual kind of problems that small towns face, but we haven't really ever had anything as sinister as a spawn before.
Half of the team headed away from the herd, and after perusing the pig pens, burned a path over to the blacksmith's. Seeking a solution to gain some very special glitz and glamour, Ogvar and Cuin discussed with Eliza Stagg how they might best adorn Orland, their helpful adventuring haversack, using some gorgeous green gems that their sorceress had set aside. Upon arriving back at the tavern, the boys found Esther enveloped in a towel and turban, and with Orland now missing his chainmail, the snippy satchel accused Elora of peeking at his privates. As time ticked by, the townsfolk turned up in numbers, and while a pig ran its rotate and roast performance, our heroes had a hankering, and, needing to solve Stagwick's crispy conundrum, they convened in the kitchen for a meaningful chat with the mayor. Hey, you made it this far, so lend us your ears for a moment longer if you will. Firstly, we are most humbled that you are enjoying our yarn, and the crew thank you from the bottom of their hearts for your patronage. Producing this podcast is incredibly hard work, and as such, if you would like to support us, there are a few ways in which you could really make a difference. Sharing links to friends and family helps to spread the word so others like you can find us, and in turn they too can enjoy the show. Equally helpful is leaving a 5-star review on Spotify and any other streaming services, which will help us immensely. Or, if you feel you could go that extra mile and contribute a few coppers to keep our creative juices flowing, you can hop on over to our Buy Me a Coffee page or drop us an email. We would all be immensely grateful for your support in any form. Lastly, we invite you to visit our website, where you will find information on our campaign From Backstories to Settings. Join our Facebook group or follow us on Twitter. All the links are in our episode bios. Don't forget to smash the subscribe and download buttons so you never miss the next episode. See you all again next week, folks.